Good evening, Your Excellency. We are very pleased to welcome you at Noor Al-Shabab Satellite TV, and please allow us to thank you for your hosting. As everybody knows, the Middle East is currently struggling against terrorism that has caused wars and immigration. First, did Hungary welcome Arab refugees? If yes, can you please be specific about the number of refugees that has entered your country, and why did Hungary later on close the door to refugees?
Good evening. I am pleased to be able to talk to you, and it is an honor to have you in Hungary. I would first of all like to state that Hungary follows very closely the developments and events unfolding in the Middle East. Some of the wars that rage this part of the world, this region, are absolutely horrendous, and we believe that some ill-judged geopolitical decisions have led to these wars, which we feel terribly sorry about, and Hungary is constantly seeking a way to help bring these conflicts to a peaceful conclusion. As for the policy vis-à-vis the refugees and the migrants of Hungary, some of the decisions that we have taken over the past months have been misinterpreted and misexplained in the media, I have to say, and sometimes even on the political level. First of all, Hungary has never closed its borders. But before explaining exactly what we did, I would like to refer to the numbers. I have fresh statistics which says that more than 390,000 people have entered Hungary illegally this year. Mm-hmm. That means almost 400,000 people. And being a country of 10 million, everybody can understand the magnitude of this issue. Of course, I don't have to explain this to Lebanese people, because Lebanon is taking one of the biggest burdens in this crisis, having many hundreds of thousands of refugees on its territory. Now, what happened is that Hungary decided about 3 months ago, after receiving more than 200,000 migrants, that we are going to put a fence on the so-called green border, which means that Hungary has two southern neighbors, Croatia and Serbia. And since most of the refugees and the migrants are arriving from the south through the Balkans, and they have entered Hungary on the southern border, we have decided to put in place a fence between the official crossing points towards Serbia and Croatia. So the borders are still open, of course. There are 14 official crossing points, international checkpoints between Hungary and Croatia and Hungary and Serbia, where everybody can move freely, and where all the migrants, refugees can go and submit their papers, their documentation, and seek the asylum. But what was uncontrollable, and we had to do something about it, is the fact that hundreds of thousands of people were pouring over the border into the country uncontrollably, in the forest, in the fields, between the official crossing points. So what we did was we put a fence where people are not supposed to go, and we asked kindly everyone to use the official crossing points.
Okay. Does this attitude provoke embarrassment to you within the European Union?
Hungary has had fierce political debates about how to treat this situation with many of our friends in Europe. Europe has, until today, not found an answer to this challenge. And we believe that this is the biggest challenge, the biggest political, social, and in a short time, it will become one of the biggest economic challenges that Europe had to face since World War II. Mm-hmm. We strongly believe that. By the end of this year, we will have more than 1 million migrants arriving to Europe. And Hungary has chosen to take a very firm stance. First of all, in the judgment of who is a refugee and who is an economic migrant. Our position is that someone who escapes from a war, for example from Syria, and goes to Turkey or goes to Lebanon, he or she is safe already in these countries, because Lebanon is able, above its capacities and performing a tremendous effort, but it's able to host and accommodate these people. So if someone, let's say a Syrian, decides to seek a better life in Europe than what he or she can receive in Lebanon, and comes to Europe, we believe that he or she is a migrant who is seeking a better life, which is also understandable, but we don't have the moral obligation to take an endless quantity of these people.
Okay. The President of the European Commission has called for historical justice, recalling the people of Europe of their past when they were refugees and they were met by various ways. What is your comment on this conversation?
There was a terrible war in this region in the 90s, the Yugoslav war, when the breaking up of this country was accompanied by bloody armed conflicts. It was only 20 years ago. Some of the elements of this conflict was even happening 15, 16 years ago. And Hungary, as a neighboring country, opened its door and let all the refugees come in. We had a lot of Christian refugees, we had a lot of Muslim refugees. We weren't looking at the religion. We said everybody who is in need of escaping from this hell can come to Hungary. And we had tens of thousands of refugees. And we didn't say no to anyone. So Hungary is open, and Hungary has been acting in a humane way vis-a-vis such conflicts as are raging in the Middle East when they were here in our neighborhood. But Hungary is not a neighbor of Syria. Hungary is not a neighbor of Iraq. Hungary is not a neighbor of Afghanistan. There are a dozen countries in between. So I believe that when any official says that we should be more open and blames us for closing ourselves, I think he or she neglects and forgets the fact that Hungary, and not only in the 90s, but has historically been open to refugees from the neighboring region. But we say that in order to help these people stay in their region, we need to help Lebanon, we need to help Turkey, we need to help Jordan, for them to have the means to keep these people there, so once the conflicts are over, they can go back to their homes. So Hungary has been calling for aid to Lebanon, to Turkey, to Jordan, and the other countries that are taking most of this responsibility.
Okay. Since today, Hungary is pretty secure, organized, and stable. Did you fear that with shutting the doors to refugees can cause emergence of fundamentalist and terrorist movements? Or do you fear that the amount of refugees changes the demographic evolution of the country? And as we know, Hungary is Catholic, yeah?
Mostly Catholic. We are about 75% Catholic, and we have a large Protestant groups as well. Okay. We have to say that most of the people who arrive to Hungary as migrants don't choose Hungary as the place where they want to live in the long run. They go further. They go to Austria, they go to Germany, or even further than Germany. So Hungary currently does not face the prospect of having to integrate hundreds of thousands of these people. This will be the challenge, and this will be a situation to deal with for other European countries in our neighborhood. So we are not counting with this scenario, which would of course pose a huge challenge to us. Even it might be a challenge that we wouldn't even be able to overcome efficiently. As regards the closure, again, I would like to emphasize that we haven't shut down the borders. Hungary is on the border of the so-called Schengen zone. Schengen is a group of European countries in between which there is no border control. But between Hungary and its southern borders, there has always been a border control. So even 1 year ago or 10 years ago, when we weren't facing this crisis, you could only go through at the official crossing points. Nothing changed. Today too, you can only go through the official crossing points, and anybody who attempts to come through the so-called green border in an uncontrolled and illegal way, we stop these people and we ask them to proceed to the nearest official crossing point. This is all that we are doing.
Okay. What were the refugees looking for in your country? were they looking for a safe place and a free stay with no expenses, or they were just looking for job opportunities with a normal life?
These people are looking for all these things in Germany and other countries. They are not looking for this in Hungary. Hungary is poorer than Germany. Hungary cannot offer as much as Germany. So these people only used Hungary as a transit to Germany, just as a transit to Germany. But that doesn't change our obligation, our European obligation, that is a legal obligation, to make sure that the borders are used in a legal and controlled manner. So again, all that we did was we asked everyone, please use the official crossing point. If you're a refugee and you don't have papers, then submit your documents or submit your request and say, please, Hungary, I'm a refugee, accept me. And then we will take a look and say, we will look at where you're coming from, what situation you are in. And if we find that you are coming from a safe country, then we will say, well, sorry, we cannot let you in because you are in a safe country. Why do you want to escape to Hungary when you are already in a safe country? And we say that Serbia, for example, or Croatia are safe countries. Nobody is harassing these people there.
We have previously spoken about European countries criticizing your decision. What does your people think of this?
There has been a vast consultation between the government and the Hungarian people on this issue. And the vast majority of Hungarians, some 90%, who took part in this consultation, and the chance was given to everyone, 90% of these people said that they encouraged the government to protect the borders and to have the situation under control. So the Hungarian people are vastly in favor of our measures, but they are also in favor of helping these people. So this is why the Hungarian government urges the European Union, urges Russia, urges Turkey, urges the US, urges the global community to take concrete action to contribute to closing the conflicts, but first of all, to contribute to assisting the countries that are taking a huge part in the burden sharing.
Your decision adds tension between you and Austria, especially when dealing with continuous and non-stop flow of refugees. What do you think about this?
This phenomenon that has never been experienced before in the past decades in Europe. In fact, for many generations, it hasn't been experienced. This phenomenon has caused conflicts between even good friends. But these are not deeply running conflicts. These are superficial disagreements on how to treat certain situations on the border. Of course, between Hungary and Austria, we have had hundreds of thousands of people moving. The Austrians were always demanding information on who's coming. Well, we said we don't know who's coming because they're coming from Serbia. They're just going through us. Then the Austrians said that we are not cooperating. So there were some difficult moments, but now this is gone because they have chosen another way. Now they are coming through Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, Austria. So there is no such kind of tension between Hungary and Austria. But there is such tension between, for example, Slovenia and Croatia. So wherever the flow goes, it creates difficult situations between some good neighbors.
Briefly, are there any alternatives that you can propose in the future to European Forum concerning this crisis?
We said to Brussels, we said to all our European partners that Hungary and all the other European members should contribute financially to sustaining the refugee camps in, among other countries in Lebanon. We said, look at this small country and look at the immense effort and the sacrifice that it is doing for the global community to take its share in addressing this, this global issue. Lebanon has received the largest number of refugees in comparison with its population. And it has not been getting the funds necessary to that can be sufficient to uphold these capacities and even increase them as the Syrian war goes on and more people are arriving. So we said that the European Union should consecrate 1% of its entire budget to helping these countries, which would be many tens of billions of euros. This was a concrete proposal of Hungary.
Okay. And last question, Your Excellency. What distinguishes the Hungarian-Lebanese relations?
Well, definitely the fact that they are excellent. We have had a political relationship that was always friendly, and especially in the past years, there have been many high-level visits and many new forms of economic cooperation. We have a large Lebanese community here in Hungary. Some of the members of this community are extremely successful businessmen who constitute a linkage, a tie between the two countries. I have the honor to co-chair the Joint Economic Commission between the two countries, where we oversee the agenda as regards the business and economic cooperation of all forms, state between state and also on the business level. So I think that Lebanese-Hungarian relations are exemplary for others to follow.
Once again, Your Excellency, we would like to thank your generous hosting, and we hope your country remains prosperous and peaceful, and thank you.
It was an honor having you, and I wish all the best for your country as well.
Thank you.